Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most iconic and widely collected coins in modern American numismatics, the Roosevelt Dime produced at the historic Philadelphia Mint, a coin that millions of people have handled in everyday life, yet very few truly understand the fascinating history, symbolism, and potential collector value behind it. Because this small 10-cent coin carries a powerful story that connects American history, presidential legacy, wartime, leadership, and the evolution of modern coin production in the United States. And the story begins with the life and legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the most influential leaders in American history, whose presidency guided the nation through the challenges of the Great Depression and the turmoil of the Second World War. And Roosevelt's leadership left such a lasting impact on the American people that after his passing in 1945, the United States government decided to honor him with a circulating coin bearing his portrait, replacing the earlier Mercury Dime, a beloved coin that had been minted since 1916, but was ultimately retired to make way for a new design that would commemorate Roosevelt's contributions to the country. And this decision was particularly meaningful because Roosevelt had a strong personal connection to the March of Dimes campaign, an organization dedicated to fighting polio, the disease that had affected him personally earlier in life. And by placing Roosevelt's portrait on the 10-cent coin, the United States not only honored a president but also symbolically recognized the national effort to combat polio through charitable contributions and medical research. And the design that eventually appeared on the Roosevelt Dime was created by talented sculptor John R. Sinek, who carefully crafted a dignified portrait of Roosevelt facing left, capturing the president's calm determination and leadership. And the coin entered circulation in 1946. With production taking place at several United States mint facilities, including the historically important Philadelphia Mint, which is the oldest mint facility in the nation and has played a crucial role in producing American coinage since the late 18th century. And for many decades, the Philadelphia Mint produced Roosevelt dimes without a mint mark, a detail that often confuses beginning collectors who assume that the absence of a mint mark means the coin might be rare, when in fact, Philadelphia coins traditionally carried no mark until much later, making them both historically interesting and extremely common in circulation. Yet even within these common coins there are subtle variations in strike quality, die wear, and production characteristics that collectors enjoy studying in detail. And when examining a Roosevelt dime from Philadelphia, the first thing most people notice is the clean and simple portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse, surrounded by the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the year of minting, while the reverse of the coin features a torch in the center representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch symbolizing peace and an oak branch representing strength and independence. And this elegant combination of symbols reflects the values that the United States sought to promote during the post-war era when the coin was first introduced, presenting a powerful message through a small piece of metal that traveled through the hands of millions of Americans every day. And from a technical perspective, the Roosevelt dime has also undergone an important transformation in its metallic composition, because early examples minted from 1946 through 1964 were struck in 90% silver, giving those coins intrinsic precious metal value that collectors and investors still appreciate today, while later coins minted after 1965 transitioned to a copper-nickel clad composition due to rising silver prices and economic changes, a shift that dramatically altered the way collectors viewed these coins and created a clear dividing line between the earlier silver issues and the later clad issues that remain common in modern circulation. And when focusing specifically on Roosevelt dimes produced at the Philadelphia Mint, collectors often pay attention to details such as strike sharpness, luster, die condition, and potential mint errors, because even though the mint produced millions of coins each year, the process of striking coins at high speed sometimes resulted in fascinating anomalies such as double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks that can significantly increase the desirability of certain coins among numismatists. And in addition to these mint errors, the condition of the coin plays an enormous role in determining its collector value, because coins that have survived decades in pristine, uncirculated condition often command far higher prices than worn examples found in pocket change, especially when those coins display strong original luster and well-defined design elements that show the coin was carefully preserved from the moment it left the mint. And for collectors who specialize in Roosevelt dimes, the Philadelphia issues provide an excellent opportunity to build a complete collection spanning many decades of American history, tracing the evolution of the coin from its original silver composition to its modern clad form, while also observing subtle design refinements and production differences that occurred as minting technology advanced over time. And one of the reasons the Roosevelt dime remains so popular among collectors is that it represents a perfect balance between accessibility and historical significance. Because while most examples are affordable and easy to obtain, certain key dates, rare mint errors, and high-grade specimens can still command impressive prices at auction, demonstrating that even a small 10-cent coin can hold considerable value when rarity, condition, and historical context align, and beyond its collector appeal, the Roosevelt Dime also stands as a reminder of the enduring legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt himself, a leader whose policies, speeches, and wartime leadership helped shape the modern United States and whose memory continues to circulate through the nation's coinage every time someone spends or saves a dime, proving that coins are not merely instruments of commerce but also miniature monuments that preserve national history in a form that people can hold in their hands, study in detail, and pass down through generations of collectors and historians, making the Philadelphia Mint Roosevelt Dime not just a piece of currency but a small yet powerful artifact that reflects the intersection of art, politics, economics, and cultural memory within the rich tradition of American coinage. Continuing deeper into the story of the Roosevelt Dime, collectors often find that the coins struck at the historic Philadelphia Mint reveal subtle details that make them particularly fascinating to study, because while millions of these dimes were produced for everyday circulation, each coin still carries evidence of the minting technology, economic conditions, and design philosophy of the era in which it was created. And when examining these coins closely under magnification, numismatists can observe the fine lines of the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, noticing the careful engraving of Roosevelt's hair, the sharp contours of his profile, and the elegant simplicity that defines the overall design of the coin, which was intentionally created to be easily recognizable even after years of circulation. And this practicality was essential because the dime is one of the most frequently used denominations in the United States, constantly moving through vending machines, grocery stores, public transportation systems, and countless everyday transactions, meaning that durability and clarity of design were crucial considerations for the artists and engineers responsible for its production. And the reverse design of the coin, which features a central torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, carries symbolic meaning that reflects the ideals of liberty, peace, and strength, values that resonated strongly with Americans in the years immediately following the end of World War II when the coin was first introduced into circulation, and these symbols were carefully arranged to create a balanced composition that could be struck clearly even on a small coin measuring just 17.91 millimeters in diameter, demonstrating the remarkable skill of John R. Cynic, the designer who translated national ideals into a compact and elegant piece of coinage art. And beyond the artistic features of the coin, the Roosevelt Dime also provides a fascinating example of how economic forces influence the composition of circulating currency, because the earliest Philadelphia minted Roosevelt dimes produced between 1946 and 1964 were struck from an alloy containing 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them a distinctive weight, ring, and intrinsic value that modern clad dimes no longer possess. And this silver composition made those early coins particularly attractive to collectors and investors once the price of silver began rising dramatically in the 1960s, ultimately prompting the United States government to eliminate silver from most circulating coinage in 1965, replacing it with a layered copper-nickel clad structure that allowed coins to be produced more economically while still maintaining a similar appearance in everyday use. And for collectors, this transition created two distinct eras within the Roosevelt Dime series: the classic silver era and the modern clad era, each with its own collecting strategies, key dates, and notable varieties. And when focusing specifically on Philadelphia issues, it is important to remember that coins minted there traditionally lacked a mint mark for many years, meaning that Roosevelt dimes dated before 1980 without a mint mark are generally Philadelphia coins, a detail that often surprises beginners who expect every coin to display a mint letter. Yet despite their common appearance, some Philadelphia dimes have achieved remarkable status among collectors due to minting errors, exceptional preservation, or unusual die characteristics, and these factors can dramatically influence a coin's market value, especially when examples are certified by professional grading services that evaluate the coin's condition on the widely recognized numerical scale used by numismatists around the world. And coins graded in the highest mint state categories often display brilliant luster, sharply defined design elements, and virtually no signs of wear, qualities that make them especially desirable for collectors attempting to build top-quality Roosevelt dime sets, while more typical circulated examples still provide an accessible entry point for beginners who wish to explore coin collecting without making a large financial investment. And another aspect that adds intrigue to the Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime series is the possibility of discovering mint errors such as doubled dies, repunched dates, off-center strikes, or die cracks, all of which can occur during the high-speed production process when small irregularities in the dies or striking machinery leave unexpected marks on the finished coins. And these errors often transform an ordinary dime into a unique collectible artifact that tells the story of how coins are made and how even highly controlled industrial processes can produce fascinating anomalies. And as collectors continue to search through rolls of coins, old collections, and bank boxes hoping to uncover rare varieties or pristine examples, the Roosevelt Dime Minted in Philadelphia remains one of the most studied and appreciated coins in American numismatics, not only because of its accessibility but also because it represents the enduring legacy of a president whose leadership shaped modern America. And every time someone encounters a Roosevelt dime in their change, they are holding a small piece of history that connects the present day to the transformative era of Franklin D. Roosevelt, reminding us that even the smallest coin can carry a powerful story about leadership, resilience, and the enduring tradition of American coinage. As collectors continue exploring the fascinating world of the Roosevelt dime, the focus often shifts toward the rarity, production varieties, and hidden values that can sometimes be discovered among coins struck at the historic Philadelphia Mint, because while billions of Roosevelt dimes have been produced since the coin's introduction in 1946, not every coin is identical, and subtle differences created during the minting process can transform an otherwise common dime into a highly desirable collectible sought after by serious numismatists around the world, and understanding these differences requires a closer look at how coins are actually produced inside the mint, where massive presses strike blank metal planchets with tremendous pressure using hardened steel dies that carry the engraved design of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. And although this process is engineered with extreme precision, the reality of high-speed production means that small variations and occasional imperfections can appear on the finished coins, leading to fascinating mint errors that collectors actively search for. And one of the most famous types of error in the Roosevelt dime series is the double die variety, which occurs when the coin die receives a slightly misaligned impression during its creation, causing certain letters, numbers, or design elements to appear doubled when the coins are struck, and while many doubled dies are minor and difficult to detect, some are dramatic enough to be easily seen with the naked eye, making them particularly exciting discoveries for collectors who examine rolls of coins hoping to find something rare hiding in plain sight. And another category of interesting varieties involves die cracks or die chips that occur when the steel dies used to strike coins begin to wear or fracture after producing thousands of impressions, leaving raised lines or irregular shapes on the coins that were struck afterward. And although these imperfections might seem like flaws from a manufacturing perspective, they actually add character and individuality to the coins, transforming them into unique pieces of minting history that reveal how the machinery of the mint operated during a particular production period. And Philadelphia minted Roosevelt dimes are especially interesting in this regard because of the sheer number of coins produced there over the decades, which increases the chances that unusual varieties and striking anomalies might appear within the series. And collectors who specialize in these coins often use magnifying tools, digital microscopes, and detailed reference guides to compare their coins with documented varieties, carefully inspecting areas such as the date, lettering, and Roosevelt's profile for subtle differences that might indicate a rare die variety. And beyond mint errors, another major factor influencing the desirability and value of Roosevelt dimes is their condition, which numismatists evaluate using a standardized grading scale ranging from heavily worn circulated examples to pristine mint-state coins that appear virtually untouched since leaving the mint. And high-grade examples of Philadelphia Roosevelt dimes can be surprisingly scarce because most coins entered circulation immediately and experienced decades of handling, meaning that only a small number were preserved in flawless condition, often by collectors who obtained them directly from mint sets or stored them carefully in protective holders. And when such coins are submitted to professional grading services, they are examined under strict standards and assigned a numerical grade that reflects their level of preservation, with the highest grades commanding impressive prices in the collector market, especially when combined with strong luster and exceptional strike quality. And another fascinating aspect of the Roosevelt dime series involves the transition from silver to clad coinage that occurred in 1965, a change driven by rising silver prices and the growing cost of producing coins with precious metal content, which led the United States government to adopt a copper-nickel clad composition that maintained the familiar appearance of the dime while eliminating the intrinsic silver value that earlier coins possessed. And this shift created a clear distinction between the pre-1965 silver Roosevelt dimes and the modern clad versions that continue to circulate today, providing collectors with an opportunity to study two very different eras of American coinage within the same series. And even though the clad coins are generally less valuable in terms of metal content, they still hold significant interest for collectors due to mint errors, rare varieties, and exceptional high-grade examples that can be surprisingly difficult to locate, demonstrating once again that rarity in coin collecting often depends not only on age but also on condition, production, quirks, and historical context. And as enthusiasts continue searching through bank rolls, inherited collections, and old jars of spare change hoping to uncover hidden treasures, the Roosevelt dime from the Philadelphia Mint remains one of the most intriguing coins to study, proving that even a small 10-cent piece can offer endless opportunities for discovery, research, and appreciation within the rich and ever-evolving field of numismatics. As the exploration of the Roosevelt dime continues, collectors and historians often turn their attention to some of the most intriguing rarities, hidden varieties, and unexpected discoveries that have emerged from coins struck at the legendary Philadelphia Mint, because although the Roosevelt dime is widely considered a common coin due to the massive quantities produced since 1946, certain pieces have gained remarkable attention in the numismatic community thanks to rare minting errors, exceptional preservation, or unusual production circumstances that occurred during the coin striking process, and these rare coins demonstrate how even the most ordinary denomination can become extraordinary under the right conditions, especially when collectors examine them carefully using magnification and detailed reference materials, searching for subtle clues that distinguish rare varieties from the billions of standard coins produced over the decades. And one of the most fascinating aspects of the Roosevelt Dime series involves double die varieties, which occur when the die used to strike the coin receives a slightly misaligned impression during its creation, resulting in visible doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements, sometimes most noticeable in inscriptions such as Liberty or the date, and although many double dies are minor, a strong example can transform an otherwise ordinary dime into a highly desirable collectible piece that captures the attention of both casual collectors and serious numismatists, while another category of unusual coins includes off-center strikes, which occur when the blank metal planchet is not properly aligned with the dies during the striking process, causing the design to appear partially shifted toward one side of the coin. And depending on the degree of misalignment, these coins can be visually dramatic and extremely collectible because they reveal the moment when the minting machinery briefly deviated from its normally precise operation, offering a rare glimpse into the industrial process behind coin production. And collectors also keep an eye out for die cracks, die chips, and other signs of die deterioration that occur after thousands of coins have been struck from the same steel die, gradually causing small fractures or raised marks to appear on the coins that follow, which might initially seem like imperfections but are actually considered valuable varieties that help researchers identify specific production stages and die states within the Roosevelt Dime series. And when focusing specifically on Philadelphia minted dimes, it is important to remember that coins produced there historically carried no mint mark for many years, meaning that Roosevelt dimes dated before 1980 without a mint letter typically originate from Philadelphia, a detail that sometimes surprises beginners but is well understood among experienced collectors who recognize it as a traditional feature of coins from that facility. And despite their common appearance, certain Philadelphia issues have achieved remarkable collector interest when preserved in exceptional mint state condition, because coins that retain their original brilliant luster, crisp design details, and virtually flawless surfaces are surprisingly scarce due to the heavy circulation most dimes experience over time. And when such coins are graded by professional numismatic organizations and certified in top mint state grades, they can command impressive premiums in auctions and private sales, demonstrating how the combination of rarity and condition can dramatically elevate the value of even a 10-cent coin. And another fascinating dimension of the Roosevelt dime story involves the historical connection between the coin's design and the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left an enduring impact on American history, and whose personal struggle with polio inspired the nationwide March of Dimes campaign that raised funds for medical research and treatment, making the choice to place Roosevelt's portrait on the dime both symbolic and meaningful for millions of Americans who supported the fight against the disease. And every Roosevelt dime minted in Philadelphia and across the United States serves as a small tribute to that legacy, circulating through the economy while quietly reminding people of a president whose policies and determination helped shape the modern nation. And this connection between historical memory and everyday currency is one of the reasons the Roosevelt dime remains such a beloved coin among collectors and historians alike, because it represents far more than its face value, embodying a blend of artistic design, technological production, economic history, and presidential legacy within a compact piece of metal that fits easily in the palm of a hand. And as collectors continue searching through rolls of coins, bank boxes, and inherited collections hoping to uncover rare varieties or high-grade examples, the Roosevelt dime from the Philadelphia Mint continues to offer endless possibilities for discovery, proving that the world of coin collecting is filled with hidden stories and unexpected treasures waiting to be found in even the smallest denominations of everyday change. As the story of the Roosevelt dime continues to unfold for collectors and history enthusiasts, it becomes clear that coins struck at the historic Philadelphia Mint represent far more than ordinary pocket change, because each piece carries within it a record of American history, industrial craftsmanship, and cultural symbolism that has evolved over many decades of production. And while billions of Roosevelt dimes have been minted since the coin was first introduced in 1946, careful study reveals that no two production periods are exactly the same, as subtle variations in minting technology, die preparation, and economic conditions have influenced how these coins were produced and how they appear today. Which is why collectors often devote years to building complete Roosevelt Dime collections that span the entire series from the early silver issues of the mid-20th century to the modern clad coins that continue circulating today, and when examining a Roosevelt Dime closely, one can appreciate the remarkable level of artistry that went into its design, particularly the dignified profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose portrait dominates the obverse side of the coin and serves as a lasting tribute to a leader whose presidency shaped the course of American history during the Great Depression and the Second World War, and the symbolism of the coin continues on the reverse, where the torch of liberty stands proudly in the center, flanked by an olive branch representing peace, and an oak branch symbolizing strength and endurance, a powerful visual combination that reflects the ideals of freedom, unity, and resilience that the United States sought to emphasize during the post-war era when the coin first entered circulation. And beyond the symbolic elements of the design, the Roosevelt Dime also illustrates how technological progress has influenced the production of modern coinage, because the high-speed presses used at the Philadelphia Mint are capable of striking thousands of coins per hour with remarkable precision. Yet even with such advanced machinery, the minting process occasionally produces unexpected results such as die cracks, strike-through errors, or other minor anomalies that collectors find fascinating. And these small irregularities often become the subject of intense study among numismatists who catalog different varieties and compare examples in order to better understand how specific dies were used and how they deteriorated over time, turning the Roosevelt Dime series into a rich field of research where historians, collectors, and hobbyists collaborate to document new discoveries and refine their understanding of how American coins were produced during different decades. And another important dimension of the Roosevelt Dime story involves the dramatic shift in metal composition that occurred in 1965 when rising silver prices forced the United States government to remove precious metal from circulating dimes and replace it with a copper-nickel-clad structure, a decision that fundamentally changed the economics of coin production and created a clear distinction between the earlier silver dimes that collectors often save for their intrinsic value and the later clad coins that circulate widely in everyday commerce. Yet despite this change, both types of coins remain part of the same historical narrative, illustrating how the nation adapted its monetary system to changing economic realities while preserving the familiar design that Americans had come to recognize and trust. And for collectors today, the Roosevelt Dime series offers an exciting combination of accessibility and challenge, because while many examples can still be found in pocket change or bankrolls, locating coins in exceptional condition or identifying rare mint varieties requires patience, knowledge, and careful observation. Qualities that transform coin collecting from a simple hobby into a rewarding exploration of history and craftsmanship. And when someone holds a Philadelphia minted Roosevelt Dime, they are not merely holding 10 cents of spending power, but a small artifact that reflects decades of American economic life, technological progress, and national identity, reminding us that coins are unique historical objects that travel through countless hands while silently preserving the stories of the people, institutions, and events that shaped their creation, making the Roosevelt Dime an enduring symbol of the connection between everyday commerce and the broader narrative of American history. As we reach the final part of the journey through the remarkable history of the Roosevelt Dime, it becomes clear that this small coin produced at the historic Philadelphia Mint represents far more than a simple 10-cent piece used in everyday transactions, because behind its modest size lies a story that connects American history, leadership, art, technology, and the passion of collectors around the world who continue to study and appreciate the details hidden within this iconic coin. And when we look once again at the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt engraved on the obverse side, we are reminded that this design was chosen not merely for its visual appeal, but as a tribute to a leader whose influence helped guide the United States through some of the most difficult moments of the 20th century, and whose legacy continues to be remembered every time a Roosevelt dime changes hands in daily commerce, making the coin a miniature memorial that circulates continuously throughout the nation, quietly preserving the memory of Roosevelt's leadership for new generations. And this connection between currency and national memory is one of the reasons coins hold such powerful cultural significance, because unlike statues or monuments that remain in one location, coins travel constantly from person to person, city to city, and sometimes even across international borders, carrying with them the stories and symbols of the country that produced them. And the Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of this phenomenon, as billions of these coins have been minted since 1946 and distributed throughout the American economy, where they continue to serve their practical role in trade while simultaneously acting as tiny historical artifacts that reflect the ideals and identity of the United States. And collectors who dedicate themselves to studying Roosevelt dimes often discover that the series offers far more complexity than its small size might suggest, because within the Decades of production, there are countless variations in strike quality, die states, mint errors, and levels of preservation that transform what might appear to be a common coin into an object of serious numismatic interest, and when particularly rare examples surface, whether through dramatic mint errors, unusual die varieties, or coins preserved in extraordinary mint state condition, they can command impressive prices at auctions and collector markets, demonstrating once again that rarity and historical context can elevate even the smallest denomination into a prized collectible, and this possibility of discovery is what keeps the hobby of coin collecting so exciting, because somewhere in circulation there may still be overlooked coins waiting to be found by observant collectors who carefully examine their change, search through coin rolls from banks, or explore old family collections passed down through generations. And every Roosevelt dime discovered in this way carries with it the excitement of uncovering a piece of history that has quietly survived decades of circulation, linking the present moment with the era in which the coin was first produced. And as long as these coins continue to circulate and collectors continue to study them, the story of the Roosevelt dime will keep evolving, with new discoveries, new research, and new generations of enthusiasts adding their own chapters to the history of this remarkable coin series, proving that numismatics is not merely about money but about preserving the stories, craftsmanship, and cultural identity embedded in the coins we use every day. And when we take a moment to appreciate the design, history, and symbolism of the Roosevelt dime, we begin to see that even a small 10-cent coin can represent a powerful combination of art, history, and national pride, making it one of the most enduring and beloved coins ever produced by the United States Mint. And whether you are an experienced numismatist building a complete collection or someone who has just begun to notice the fascinating details hidden within everyday currency, the Roosevelt dime offers a perfect gateway into the world of coin collecting and historical exploration, reminding us that sometimes the most ordinary objects carry the most extraordinary stories, and that every coin has the potential to reveal a piece of the past if we simply take the time to look closely. And with that, we conclude our exploration of the Philadelphia Mint. Roosevelt Dime, a coin that continues to inspire collectors, historians, and curious minds around the world. And as always, thanks for watching.